All right. We have Mr. John Conidi. He's the managing director at Capital Health Limited. Yes it is, managing director.
Correct.
John, welcome to the interview.
Thank you, pleasure.
All right. I understand that you invested in analytic. We just had Steve on.
Correct.
What opportunity did you see there, and why? What drew your investment?
Okay. We run a very competitive radiology industry in Australia. Extremely competitive, where most of the work is generated by general practitioners, and consequently they can send to anybody they like. And there's a vast supply of providers in the marketplace. Australia, like most parts of the world, unfortunately our accuracy isn't the best, and we're looking for that differentiator. The key premise here is all about patient care and best care first time. So if there is a product or tools or services that can augment and assist the radiologist in providing better outcomes for that patient, we're all better for it. And that's really it. So, my job as MD is to really predict the future. And most people here today, they're here they want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, meaning tomorrow, next year, and the year after. And that's my job. My job is to try and determine what's going to happen tomorrow and make decisions today to put my company and my stakeholders, patients, referrers, staff, shareholders, on the right pathway.
All right, so John, you mentioned that you're a healthcare futurist. What are the trends that you see coming in the next 3 to 5 years?
I'm not sure I'm a futurist. I leave that to other people, but I listen.
You listen?
I listen. Yeah, you can observe a lot just by looking. So, but that's a very good question, and I don't know. I'm open-minded, but what analytic can do and what it will do, concept of convergence. When you start converging data from pathology, radiology, clinical notes, hospital admission data, a computer has the power and the breadth to really process that information and create connections and correlations that unfortunately humans can't do. So the future to me is incredibly exciting, but I think this is the one step to, believe it or not, to immortality.
Oh my goodness.
And that's right, I think we'll get there eventually.
You do?
Yeah, I think I will, yeah. In my lifetime, that is.
In your lifetime,
yeah.
Wow, all right. John, I understand that you've also launched 2 businesses you hope can ride the 3D printing wave. Explain that vision for us.
Well, 3D printing technology's been around quite a long time, and the reason why it's become such popular is the patents ran out a few years ago, and consequently it's open sourced. But what it does, they use the word democratization, meaning that people have the opportunity to do things themselves rather than being subjected to other people, anywhere around the world to manufacture things. But the way I apply the technology is in my business, and believe it or not, in radiology, most of the data is captured in 3D. But it's not displayed in 3D, it's displayed in 2D, or on a sheet of film. So radiologists really can't get the depth perception, or the contrast, or the texture of an ailment, or a lesion, or a fracture, or whatever it may be. And if that gives them that extra bit of detail and information to create a better diagnosis, the better off they're going to be. So that was another product opportunity that we saw at Capital, and we created this company called 3D Medical, which has now done a transaction with a company called Back 7. So going on to your previous point, it's no irony that this year healthcare usurped or surpassed oil and gas as the largest industry in the world. It's a $8 trillion industry. And believe it or not, data is the new oil. It is the new oil.
Yeah.
And that's what analytic does. It refines data. J.D. Rockefeller didn't dig for oil, he refined it. And that's what we do. The data's there. It's all over the place. It's everywhere. It's a matter of getting it together and ingesting it in these computers, and they can make correlations that we can't.
Well, so let's pivot on that a little bit. You say that data is the new oil. How is it that big data is going to continue to transform the healthcare experience? Maybe even specific to the practice that you run.
Yeah. So I think the key thematic when you talk about data, and you talk about data in healthcare and data in finance and data in virtually everything of your life, is personalization. That's what data does. Because everyone tries to capture your data and trying to create an outcome or a product that is personal to you. And you see it every day when you search Google, there's a product there, that's what how does it know that's what I want? I wake up every morning and for some reason my phone tells me it's 20 minutes from my house to my work. I didn't tell it that, but it's recognized my patterns.
Right.
Right, so the concept of personalization I think is the key. And that means better outcomes, more tailored, bespoke outcomes. And that's really important in healthcare. The key premise still has to be best patient outcomes, first time. So the more data you have a particular person, the better outcome. It's Geico is providing car insurance for people that are prepared to be monitored the way they drive. So you'll be priced eventually on what you consume, how much you train, your sleeping habits and all the rest of it. Because that data it is available and it can be measured and an outcome can be derived from it. So it's all about personalization. That's the way I see the future.
Let me throw kind of a little unexpected question to you perhaps. With data we also talk about privacy and protection, ownership of that data. Do you have a particular stance on privacy when it comes to health data in particular?
Yeah, so it's a great question, and it's something that I suppose the governments and citizens have to deal with going forward. What's the cost versus benefit of making information available? I can say the same example about Uber. If you told me I'll give you an opportunity to invest in Uber 5 years ago, I would have said no. There's no way in the world governments will let this product take over the taxi industry or provide rides with no insurance and things like that. The same logic applies with privacy. At what point does the benefit outweigh the cost of information being out there? But I think if you anonymise data, I think it's pretty safe, right? But you do need patient consent, and you've got to make sure you dot your I's and you cross your T's and go that way. But I think that will change, and I think the biggest industry, the biggest agency to be disrupted in the future is going to be the FDA. They might become irrelevant because people will do things and use things because it's right for them and it works, and they couldn't care less what Big Brother says. So they're the things that if there's enough people that say it works for me, I want to use it, well, you can't stop it. And you can see that in Uber. It's taking over the world. And I would have thought, governments would have stepped in and said no. So the power of people working together, governments want to be elected. They don't want to lose elections. It's an amazing concept, and they'll do anything to remain in power, and they want to obviously, satisfy the masses.
So really, it sounds to me that you're not concerned that governments are going to really restrict innovation. You feel that they're there to help really propel it and amplify it.
One of the big problems around the world with governments is the cost of healthcare.
Yeah.
This should reduce the cost of healthcare. It's as simple as that. You detect the cancer very early, you're going to save a lot of money in that hospital system or that healthcare management system, right? So I can't see how they can't have it both ways. The cost, the social impact, I think is a greater outcome than any potential privacy, but it has to be managed. Okay, it does have to be managed. But that's an opportunity for someone to actually create something that does that. So all these problems are actually opportunities for people. And there is someone there that's smart enough to figure it all out and provide that product or solution.
All right, outstanding. Well, John Conidi, I know that you came a very long way, all the way from Australia, so thank you so much for spending some time with us here at the GuideWell Insights Lounge. Right now we're going to go to our woman on the street, Jessica DeMassa. She's going to bring us some interviews. Thanks so much.